Hello, students. I'm Professor Mrs. Akhade Kavita, Head Department of English, Dada Patil Mahavidyalaya Karjat. Today we are going to see business presentation skills. Actually, it is prescribed for TYBA and commerce faculty, but it is useful for all. Aim of this training is first, build on existing experience of presenting. Means you have to build up. Introduce key concept of presenting. Build confidence. If you have confidence, that's all. But sometimes it is quite possible that someone may suffer from inferiority complex. So this is the main aim of this presentation skill, to build confidence. Training contents are advantages of presenting, 6 steps to presenting effectively, common failings of presenters, structuring the presentation, 5 key techniques and first few minutes, visual aids, presentation, putting it all into practice. Advantages of presenting are address the multiple senses. Means whenever one is going to present on anything, at that time it addresses our senses, that is hearing, smelling, seeing, that is watching, and also speaking, every testing also. Increase your credibility. If you present something, it increases your credibility. Effective use of time. Time management should be there whenever we are going to present and whenever we are going to start any business. In business factor, business field, effective use of time is also very important thing. Actually, presentation skills are used for high profile, but nowadays presentation is quite common. Persuasive, this is also advantage of presenting. There are 6 steps of presenting effectively. Which are there? First is decide what your purpose is. Whenever you are going to present anything, before going to presentation, first you have to decide what your purpose is. What is the purpose behind your presentation? Means why you are going to present anything or something. Think about the audience. First of all, one has to think about audience, age group of audience, gender of audience, means how many people are there, those who are listening to you or watching your presentation. So first of all, you have to think about the audience, whether the audience are teenager, small children, women, old people, or whenever the audience are from fixed community or fixed, you can say, field. For presentation, most important thing is to gather data. Without data, you cannot present anything. So you have to gather the data about your topic on which you are going to present. Apply suitable structure. Whatever the content you have with you, you have to give the suitable structure for your presentation. For example, you have to start, you have to explain, illustrate, and you have to end. How open you are, that is also very important thing in presentation. Means if someone asks you any question, at that time you have to give the answer. If you are getting irritated, it will not be helpful for presentation. How close you are, means for example, you have to think about the time limit, you have to think about to whom you are speaking with, and you have to appreciate the question answers and you have to answer the queries. Common failings of the presenter means the things which should not be there in your presentation. Means for presentation skill, one should avoid these things. Which are they? First of all, one should avoid not bold enough. Means sometimes what happens? Presenter might be suffering from inferiority complex, which is not good for presentation. So this is the thing which fails or which failures the presenter. Second thing is rejecting the audience. First of all, you have to think about the audience and what type of audience are there, and you have to prepare for the queries. You have to prepare whatever may be there whenever it is presentation. Means in between, sometimes someone may ask you question, so you should not get irritated and you should think about the audience. You should not reject the audience. Rejecting audience is also common failings of presenter. Showing nervousness. Just because of thinking of presentation, it is quite possible that someone may feel nervous. So you should avoid nervousness. Then poor use of visual aids. Only if you are going to speak and speak, tell whatever you wanted to, and it may be boring for the audience. In between, you have to use visual aids. Means poor use of visual aids also fails presentation. Speaking for too long. Some people have the habits to speak too long, and that lengthy presentation also bored. So one should not speak too long and one should not go very short. Means in between, if you are very short while speaking, if you have taken very little time, it is quite possible that audience could not get whatever you are speaking. So one should not speaking for too long and it should not be too short also. Poor preparation. Whenever you are going to present, so while presenting or while presentation, one should have to prepare for presentation. If your presentation is poor, definitely your presentation may fail. Being clever. There is a exclamatory, means being clever means what? Here, there are few people, those who show that they are very clever, they are very smart, but it will not be possible. And that type of style, that type of behavior may fail your presentation. You should not show that you are very clever, because in audience there may be cleverer than you. Means there may be few people who are cleverer than you. Structuring the presentation. Whenever you are structuring your presentation, what you are going to tell them first. Tell them then whatever the content you have with you, means what you wanted to tell, and tell them what you just told them. Means what? Revise it or retell it again. Why? It is quite possible that the audience are not in front of you whenever you are presenting. Sometimes they may be in front of you but couldn't get you. So at that time you have to repeat it again. 5 keys techniques you should apply. Which are they? First, interesting facts. Means whenever you are presenting anything, use interesting facts in between your presentation. Challenging rhetorical questions should be also included in your presentation. Means in between you have to ask the questions to your audience, and that should be rhetorical question, means yes no type questions. Relevant quotation, it is no doubt very important to use relevant quotation according to your topic as it is related to your topic. So use quotations in between. You should share history also, means give the examples of historical things or give the example from history itself. So share history there with them. Personal story or your expert opinion you have to express in between your personal story also, which is very too short or brief. In brief you have to tell your expert opinion also. First few minutes are very important while you are going to give the presentation. Why? Because most of the time whenever you start presentation, someone may get nervous, someone may get inferiority complex, someone may get excited. Just because of excitement, just because of nervousness, just because of excitement also, one could fail in presentation. So if you wanted to get successful in presentation, first few minutes are very important. Capture the audience and clear, there should be the clarity in your voice. So first few minutes are important whenever you are expressing, whenever you are presenting anything. Within few minutes you can capture the audience, and once you have captured them, then you can fluently, flowily go on and you will be very successful. So be aware of, you should avoid negative body language. Most of the time you use body language, means your hands, you can say one have a very negative body language, and that is scratching the nose or flipping the eyes or speaking in the filtering. So negative body language should not be used in presentation. So beware of this thing. Second thing is unfunny jokes. No doubts, jokes may create your presentation very interesting. If you use in between the jokes which is related to your topic, then it's okay. But you should avoid the unfunny jokes. Overbearing expert. So, this thing is also very important. One should not show that she is very expert. There might be many people among the audience who could be more expert than you. So handling questions in the presentation, it is quite possible that audience may ask you questions. So you have to give the answers to each and every query. You should solve each and every query in between the presentation. Means if someone can't get your point, you have to repeat it again. You have to tell them. So handling question, you should be very polite, and your voice or your expression, your style should be appropriate. Know your audience as best as you can. Means whenever you are talking to audience, easily you could get what type of audience are in front of you. So think about that. Know your audience first. For example, if I am going to teach the classes which are familiar to me, no doubt I will be very free in my presentation. But if I don't know the audience, so try to know your audience first as best as you can and give your presentation. Recognize influential or expert members of your audience at the outset. Quite possible there are many people who are more expert than you. They may give their expertise in between. So recognize these such influential or expert members and try to handle them very politely and positively. It is very important. Paraphrase back to ensure understanding. Most of the time, what happens if you are going to present in the presentation, audience could not get whatever you are telling or whatever you are speaking. At that time, you have to go back and paraphrase whatever the text, whatever the content is there. Means you have to paraphrase your presentation wherever it is important, wherever it is necessary. Answer honestly and get back later if necessary. Means if it is necessary that you have to go back, so go back and explain whatever is going to, whatever the queries are there. So whenever someone asks you question, so answer honestly. If you know the answer, so give the answer. If you don't know, then also tell what you know or what you don't know. So your answer should be very honest. Get back if it is necessary. Respond in a focused way. If someone from the audience asks you related to your topic, or if someone try to give more information to your presentation, so respond in a focused way. Means whatever is necessary, take it. Whatever is important, give the due response to such person who is going to add information to your presentation. Check you have answered the queries. This thing is very important. Most of the audience, they may ask you any question, or if the audience are very few and you are going to give the presentation, if the person in front of you are high profile and ask you questions in between, so check whether you have answered each and every query. So use of visual aid is also very important in presentation. So information taken in through the senses. Why visual aids? There may be someone may ask me question, why one should use visual aids? And the answer is, information taken in through the senses are, the percentage are given here on the slide. So sight has 71%, means whatever we saw, whatever we watch, it affects more. Then comes hearing, that is 20%. So hearing and watching both are very, very important whenever presentation is going on. So you have to think about it and you have to give the attention to sight as well as sound. Why? Because smelling, tasting and touching has less, you can say, importance. They are also important, no doubt, but whenever we are going to give the point, then sight is 71, hearing is 20%, touching, tasting and smelling as each has 3% only, but it has a no doubt importance. Visual aids, why? Whenever we are using visual aids, these are few points which we have to consider. So make use of facilities at hand, that is PowerPoint. Means you have to use PowerPoint presentation whenever you are going to present anything, theory and practical. So use of PowerPoint is very useful in presentation skill. Don't overuse the technology. Means what? Though you know, though you have techno savvy, though you are techno friendly, don't overuse the technology, because it is quite possible that audience in front of you may be less techno savvy. Make your slides clear and not too detailed. This thing is very, very important. Whenever we used to take the PowerPoint presentation for PG students, so we have to give this suggestion each and every time, because most of the presenter, they use too much data on one slide, too detailed. It is not needed. So on one slide it should be at least 5 to 6, you can say, points, not more than. If crowded slide you put on, so it is quite possible that audience could not get whatever it is there in one and the same slide. So you should not, your slide should be very clear and not too detailed. Utilize other visual aids such as flip cards, whiteboards, smartboards, etc. in between. If you have had such facilities, then only utilize. But if you haven't, then not necessary. But if you utilize visual aids such as flip cards and whiteboards, then it makes difference, and your presentation may be very fluent and very nice. So I come to conclusion now. It is my conclusion that refining your ability to present well become increasingly important every day of your working life and is an accessible part of your project. I repeat, refining your ability to present will become increasingly important every day of your working life and is an accessible part of your project. Now this, this is the summary of my presentation. Advantages of presenting, then 6 steps to presenting effectively, common failings of presenter, structuring the presentation, 5 key techniques of first few minutes, visual aids, split into, so when now this is the last point, that is presentation, putting it all into practice, it is very important. So split into 3 groups, means whatever the audience are there in front of you, split into 3 groups. Choose a topic you all agree on, that is the collapse of the SPL, the benefits of studying CS at Edinburgh University. Take half hour to prepare a short 5 minutes presentation using asset. Identify first one person or first person to present your topic. We will then have the 3 presentations followed by feedback from the group and myself. Means this is the presentation putting into practice. So we will then feedback also. Remember, this is a no risk environment and is aimed to give you some practice with key techniques. Thank you.